Hey there, this is Carrie Clark with SpeechAndLanguageKids.com. Today I'm going to show you 8 different ways to collect data for speech therapists, and these could also be used for other professionals and other therapists as well. Now I'm going to show you the data sheets now, but I want you to know that you can download them on my website at SpeechAndLanguageKids.com/data collection, and you can download those in an editable Word format. So if you have Microsoft Word, you can open those and edit them and use them to whatever purpose you need. Here, let's go ahead and jump into the data sheets now. This first data sheet that I have for you is one that I used when I was working in the schools. So this is a sheet that I recommend for kiddos who have a lot of goals that you need to track over a long period of time. You can write each goal in one goal in each of the boxes along the first column, and then each time you work on that goal, you go to the next box over, you write the date, and you enter your data. Now this will help you see which goals you have targeted lately, which ones you have not, and which ones they have met. So I'm going to go on down to a sample that I've done of this one. So you can see here I have produce he, she, and sentences is one of my goals, and I always write the accuracy down here in the bottom corner, label 10 vehicles, and answer who questions. And you can see, oh, I've really worked a lot on labeling vehicles, but I haven't worked very much on answering who questions, so I need to target that one next time. So it's just a really simple way to look and see exactly what you've been working on, and then also what their data is, because I like to circle the total percentage or the tally when I get that written down. So I can very easily visualize how they're doing on each goal, which ones we need to still work on, and I can compare the data to the accuracy goal over here and see which ones they've met and which ones they haven't. Okay, this is the next sheet I have. And this one is more of a writing it out, but you're also going to have the plan and the data on the same sheet. So for this one, you're going to write the student's name at the top, and then before your session, you're going to write your plan right here on these lines. Now you can just jot down what goals you want to work on. You can write down specific activity ideas, however it works best for you. And then underneath it, you're going to fill in the data during the session. Then you can use this to write your SOAP notes or just collect these in a notebook and have a bunch of sheets that you can go through later and look at these. So let's look at the example I have. Okay, so you can see right up here, I wrote each of the goals I wanted to target during that session and wrote 1, 2, and 3. And then down here, I wrote 1, 2, and 3 again and took my data, made some notes. Like I said, he was able to do it if I pointed to the character. So I have some notes about how he was doing. This works a little better if it's one kid by himself in a group, because it's going to be kind of hard to manage a bunch of these. Or if it is, I use these for my private practice kiddos, so kiddos that you don't see quite as often, so you have just one lesson plan where you work on all of their goals. All right, this is the next one I have. This would be a goal sheet where you would write each of the goals at the top, and again, you can download and edit these, so you can edit and add more goals if you have kiddos with more goals, or take away some goals if you don't have this many. But I'll write each of the goals in the top, and then each time I come in, I will write the date and time here, and then I'll fill in the description with the goals, and I'll number these, like I'll write number 1 and then put the data. And over here in this column, I have homework or plan, so this will be where I'll write down, send home this worksheet, or next time try sentence level, so that I can remember the next time I pull this data sheet out what we are working on. So here's my example. I have 3 goals written in there. I wrote the date, and then 1, 2, 3, filled out my information, wrote a little note about which words he missed, and then my ideas for what I'm going to work on next time. All right, here's the next one. This would be for a kiddo who has fewer goals, or if they have more than 2 goals, then you could have multiple sheets. So you would write the student's information at the top, and then each section or each half of a page here is going to be for one of the child's goals. So you'll write the first goal here, and then you'll take your data on it in each of these subsequent boxes. Then you'll write the second goal, and you'll take data on that. So this way you can have a big block for each goal. Here's my sample. Produce he, she, and sentences with 80% accuracy is the goal. And you can see I just took data in here, wrote the date at the top, and then my tallies, and calculated it out, and you can very easily see the progression of the progress that they made based on their percentages. Okay, the next one I want to talk to you about is writing SOAP notes quickly and painlessly. So I have used a program called Phrase Express, and you can get that at phraseexpress.com. It is a download, so you'll have to have access to downloading things on your computer. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to type something very short, and it is going to fill in what you meant to say. So if you kind of skip down here to the bottom here, if I type the word soap with a capital S onto any document on my computer will automatically expand that to say, was cooperative and compliant throughout the session. So let me show you how that would work. So I write, helps if I click on the document. So I would write Carrie, and then I would write soap with a capital S. Now when I hit the space bar, it expands out and says Carrie was cooperative and compliant throughout the session. So I just filled in the subjective part of my soap note in like 2 seconds, super fast. So then I can go, let me show you up here. I have a bunch of things that I use for the A section. The O section, you pretty much just have to write out your data. There's no shortcuts for that. But for the A section, I have a different thing for increased accuracy on all goals, increased accuracy on one goal, decreased on all, decreased on one, had the same on all, the same on one. And then of course if it's going to be, if you have 3 different goals and they did different things on all of them, you're just going to have to write that out. But this saves me a ton of time on the A section. So let's come down here. So I will write in that's my S section. The O would be all the data, blah, blah, blah. And then for my A section, I would write Carrie increase all. And it expands that out to say Carrie increased accuracy on all goals since the last session. I go down and write my P, and then I write as planned. And it pops out into will continue therapy as planned. So you can see that I very quickly wrote a SOAP note, and this saves me so much time, especially when I need to write a SOAP note for all of my various clients. So I highly recommend getting Phrase Express. I have directions here in the document that will show you exactly how to take these phrases that I've already programmed for you, put them into Phrase Express, and it will be programmed for you. All you'll have to do is type those things and it will pop it all in. So you can get this in the download on the website at speechandlanguagekids.com/data collection, or if you're already there, scroll down below the video and you will see a box for you to download this handout. And here is the next data sheet. Now this one is just a very basic bar graph, but I like this one for getting my students involved in understanding the progress that they've made and understanding how well they're doing. So I like to take my data on one of those other data collection sheets, and then I pull this out and I have the student help me fill in the bar graph. Now this is good because all students need to know how to use bar graphs at some point in their education, so you might as well help them out a little bit, make it functional and make it so that they can understand how bar graphs work. So teach them how to do this and show them that you're going to write the date at the bottom, and then the percentage that they got towards their goal is going to go in one of these bars, and then I will usually help them figure out where it needs to go, because this graph goes by threes so that the boxes are not teeny tiny. So you'll need to help them figure out if it's not exactly on one of these numbers, where in between it goes. I usually just draw the line to show them the top of the bar and then have them color in the bar in whatever color they want. So it ends up looking something a little like this. So this is one that I did. I also like to write the goal, make it very visual on there so they see what they're working towards. I write what they're working on. This is R in single words. And then sometimes I will write the incentive too. I had one kiddo who his incentive was always a week off from speech. He just wanted a break. So if he got to his goal, he got to have a week off. I know you don't have that ability in the schools, but maybe it's some special time with you, or they get a special treat, something like that. So I write the dates along here, and then we fill in the bars to see if they're making progress, if they're not. And then I also like to use this for talking about what impact their home practice does. So like for this week, there was a big jump here, and I could say, man, you really did much better this week than you did the last time. Were you practicing that at home? Oh, you did practice. That helped you get up there a lot. Or if they go down, like, well, let's see if we can figure out, why did you regress? Why did your skills get worse? Did you practice at home? Oh, you didn't practice any. Maybe that's why it got worse. This week, let's try practicing at home and see if that helps. So I like to really get the kids involved and help make sure that they understand what they're doing, how they're doing it, and why they're doing it. All right, this is the last 2 data sheets I have for you, and they are very similar. This is collecting data on a rubric style data sheet. So basically the idea here is you're going to have a goal, and then you're going to rate their performance on that goal on a scale of 5, or if you wanted to make this larger, you can make a scale of 10 by editing this data sheet. But I like to use 5 because it's a little more manageable. And so this would be the first one. The next one I have is blank, so you can actually fill in what each of the numbers means. But this one's a pretty basic one that you can use for a lot of different skills. So 5 would be that the child does the skill independently, no help, a-okay, the best that they could possibly do. One would be that they don't do it and they need a lot of help, and then in between are all the different levels. So on this one you can see number 1 would mean full physical assistance, so that would be you taking the child's hand, doing hand over hand to help them figure out how to do the skill. Number 2 would be partial physical assistance. This would be if you just had to kind of nudge them in the right direction or tap their hand or something like that, but you didn't necessarily have to do the whole thing for them. 3 would be gestural and verbal assistance. So that's you told them what to do and you pointed or gave them some sort of gesture to help. 4 would be a verbal reminder only, so you told them what to do only. And then 5, again, is no assistance needed. So what you're going to do is you're going to write the date each time that you're doing this, the setting or context, and then what I like to do is just take an overall summary. This is also really helpful if you're working with a kid that you don't necessarily have a hand free to collect data. You don't want to have to be collecting data for every trial, so you can just take one measurement at the end of the session. So maybe it's how they did it on the very first trial. You want to see how they did without the warm-up. Or maybe it's the very last trial. You want to see how well they did by the time the end. Or maybe it's just an overall kind of summary. So you could say, well, most of the time he needed just a verbal reminder, so I'm going to rate him at a 4 today. So you'll just take one reading for each day or time that you work on this, and that way you don't have a ton of data, you just have one number and you can compare that to the rest of the sessions. Here is the blank one. Like I said, you can write in what the 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5 mean. I've seen people use this for stuff like writing assignments is something this works really well for. So maybe they have to write a story and you want to know if they included all of the different story elements. So 1 would be they wrote something but it was not sequential and did not have any story elements. 5 would be that they wrote a sequential story with all 5 elements and you list out what those are. And then maybe 4 is they got most but they forgot one element, down the line. So you can fill this in with whatever skills that you're looking for. And once again, you just have to collect data once for the entire session. So that's going to be really helpful for you. And finally, here's a sample of that one. I have the goal up here, the dates down here, and then I just wrote, like, this was the speech room with crackers, speech room with cookies, speech room with grapes, and then we moved down to the classroom with Miss Johnson, and you can kind of fill it out that way. And then you can see the child got a little better, so it got a little worse once we started moving into the classroom, but then we got better again. So it's very visual to see the data progression and see the progress made. All right, there you have it. I hope that was helpful for you. I tried to offer a lot of different choices because I know that each speech therapist is going to have a different way that they like to collect data, and I hope that one of those resonated with you. And keep in mind that your data system will probably change over time. I've used all of those different data collection systems at one point or another, and I continue to modify it as I find changes need to be made. So those are some options for you. Again, if you would like to download any of those, go to speechandlanguagekids.com/data collection, and you can find the big old button underneath the video that's going to allow you to download those. Then you can edit them in Microsoft Word and use them how you need them, print them out, use them as much as you want. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day.